Hi guys, I've seen a lot of people having problems with soldering, etc. So I'm going to run you through a few bits and pieces. I do this professionally, so this is something that is quite easy once you get the hang of it. It's just practice. Now, what you see in front of you is not actually a flight controller. My flight controller is somewhere here, but for the minute, this is actually a vaping board. It's a DNA 200. I haven't got a charger, but it does balance charging. These things are run on LiPos, hence me having lithium polymer batteries here before. Now, this XT60 came with my that one. I have another XT60 which is connected to the ESC board. So I'm just going to desolder that and move that onto the flight controller, because they both have PDBs on. What I recommend you do, first off, is trim your wires. They'll probably come pre-tinned. You will have a hell of a time stripping the wires. If you haven't got, my preference is a Stanley blade or box cutter blade if you're in America. But the pad's already pre-tinned on this. This is a good idea of how to do things. It's all just practice. Basically, with this, I like using a blade because I can actually feel when it hits the a blade and a nail, because I can feel when it actually hits the wire, and I'm not actually breaking anything. Now, next thing is flux. Backwards. Come back in focus. So always use flux. No matter if you've got flux called solder, use flux. Pre-tin everything. Now, like I say, this is actually a balance plug here. So what I'm going to do is just solder it flat on. I can't be asked to clear out the holes. I would normally do it through a hole, but it's just going to be quicker just to tack that on and solder it. So without further ado, if I move this out of the way and see if I can get this to focus. I've got very little solder left, so I'm going to have to be careful. So I'm just going to quickly run this around the edge of the flux pot, and pull back in focus. Sometimes it can just be easier just to drop a little bit of solder on pins like this, just run them across, because frankly you don't need that much there. Nicely pre-tinned. I think the easiest way for me to do this is to show you it this way so I can get to it. I'm using a pair of helping hands, which always helps as well. If you've not got that, then and tack it and soldering joints like this. You touch both the pad and the pin, and there you go. Don't know if you can see that, but basically you want to be putting heat right across both what you're soldering and what you're soldering to. Let me just check all the joints. Two middle pins aren't too good, so always check your joints as well. If you find the pins or anything like this are moving, then always just leave the heat off and then you're done. But there you go. Right, so for this, come in with the other side of the helping hand now. There we go. Yeah, these are rusty as hell, but doesn't really matter. So for 14 gauge, this is 14, is it? Is it? Yes, 14 gauge, which is awesome. Just dip the ends of your wire into your flux. I have ceramic tweezers as well, which always help. You're not getting any but touch to the wire, feed in. Let's just see if we can get that on camera a little bit better. So what I do is I will touch the wire, feed the solder in between the joints, and when you see it start getting nice and silver, that's enough tin. That's enough tinning. Right, so next up, back to the board. Minus, all I'm going to do is just put that on there. My soldering iron is a bit manky at the minute, but that's tacked. And if you find your tip getting, the soldering iron tip getting dirty, just wipe it off on a clean bit of sponge and you should end up with a nice shiny end. Not very clear, but you get my gist, get the gist. So now I'm just going to tack this. See, what I find easiest with this is to actually apply heat to both the pad and the wire at the same time. Sometimes I screw up like that, so it's just a matter of applying a little bit more solder and shifting it down. If you find it's getting hot, just leave it for a bit, you know, and you can do it this way as well, and then hold it in place. I sometimes blow on it, you shouldn't really, but there you go. You don't need that much solder. I mean, that's with a tug test, that's perfectly fine. So now I've got a USB socket on there. I can actually USB charge my my LiPo batteries. Also, as you can see, I have a voltmeter here, just a 3-segment 0.28 inch voltmeter. Again, blade, just with PVC I cut it both sides and then just bend it and pull the end off. Oh, so many double entendres. Again, just cut, and ow. Sometimes that happens. You can bend your nail back if you don't get it right. I'm used to doing it. Again, with the wires, small wires. What I tend to do is just grab the end of the solder, put it up like that, and tin. Sometimes you can actually just, it's a bad habit, but you can take the solder to the joint with these, this tin the tip of your iron and take the solder to the piece you're tinning. You shouldn't, but you can. This is just what I'm doing. It's the way I do things. It's not, you know, you're not. It's the way I work. It may not work for you, but it may work for other people. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just putting a voltmeter on this, so I can actually get a readout of the voltage. So yes. Now if I plug this in, should get a 11.2, and we can just plug that into the computer. And we're charging. So there you go, guys. Bit of faffing about, but you'll end up with but it's a bit of faffing about, but you'll get you'll get used to doing it. Just practice, practice, practice. I can't really say much more on that. Oh, desoldering while I'm here, because it's going to make a difference. So I've got my ESC board on my quad here. I'm going to be desoldering these. Now, it does help if you have a pokey thing. Old Allen key. I've actually got some soldering tools somewhere. Or soldering tools like this. This has actually had a lot of flux on previously. So basically what I do is I will just dab a small amount of flux on that. Grab my solder. Add a little bit of solder in and pull. And mind out it's hot. Yeah, you don't need big blobs of solder as long as it holds. As long as the joint holds. It's like now I've got. You can tell it's. Yeah, there we go. You don't need big blobs of solder, but yeah, just apply a bit of heat, bit of flux, and you're well away. I am going to grab my flight controller. I'm actually going to just quickly put this on, so I can get an idea. So you can get an idea of how I will do this. It's got pins on the back I don't want to bend, so I'm just looking for something I can just put this into, like so, and just hang the end off. So, flight controller. I'm just going to quickly flux these up, and you can get away without any helping hands if you're a little bit ambidextrous, because what I tend to do is hold wires like that, and you can feed your solder in. So I'm doing that sort of motion. See, that's taking on a lot of heat. Oh, that's tinned. So put it down. You don't need that much solder. I see people making a lot, just putting shed loads of solder on, just nice like that. And I didn't do the positive, did I? No. But it can be easy just to use a pair of helping hands. And see, in the gap between the two, there you go, tinned. This didn't tin very well. It's not gone shiny, so there we go. But it's, as soon as it goes shiny, you've got enough solder on it. Always check your polarities. So positive is this side. Yeah, and if it doesn't start melting straight away, flux, and apply heat to both the pad and the joint. And you get a nice clean joint. You don't need a lot of solder to make a good joint. Sorry, I'm pulling it. I'm trying not to pull everything all around. Again, to the pad and the wire. There we go. You don't need. That is a perfectly clean good joint. You don't need boatloads of solder. You may find it's capillaried a bit, because this will be a little bit stiff, but you'll be fine with that. Alright guys, there you go. How to solder 101. I'll catch you later guys. Cheerio.